Okay, this is AmLit, American Literature 3-2, and it covers pages 16 and 17 in the textbook. It is a poem by Carl Sanberg, which I'm sure you can find on the internet. If you do not have a book, They Have Yarns. Now, what are yarns? I want you, as you read this poem, to identify what the legend is. You can just, name it briefly. You don't have to do it in full sentences in this particular case, but I'd like you, if you can reference a legend or a tall tale or something to one of these portions of this They Have Yarns, I would be interested in knowing how much you know, because I think this is kind of a dated poem in that at the time it was written by Carl Sanberg, I'm sure that most people understood the references. They are called allusions, A-L-L-U-S-I-O-N-S, and I want you to know what an allusion is. It's when you refer to something when perhaps somebody is facing a big challenge. Someone will say, well, you're facing your Goliath, or you're a David facing his Goliath, something like that. And it's a reference to the story of David and the giant Goliath. And that's an allusion. A reference to something else is an allusion. And so what Carl Sanberg has here is a lot of allusions to, or references to, yarns, to tall tales, to legends, and so forth. And so I would just be interested to know how many you can identify. Now, this is written in what is called free verse. There is no metrical pattern to it. There is no rhyme necessarily at all. And most of it is 1 or 2 lines. And at the beginning and the end, you have something that looks like a verse. But it's very, very interesting. So look up They Have Yarns, like the yarn you sew, only an S on the end of it. But this yarn is a tall tale, okay? So there we have a word that is a homonym again, has 2 different meanings, yarn and yarn. Yarn you knit with, or yarn you tell. Okay, Carl Sanberg, born in 1878 and died in 1967, was known for his poems, songs, and monumental biography of his hero, Abraham Lincoln. Okay, his best known poems are Chicago, Fog, The People, Yes. Which encouraged many Americans after the Depression. His biography of Lincoln earned him the Pulitzer Prize in History in 1940, and he won the 1951 Pulitzer Prize in Literature for his complete poems. So this is not necessarily one of his best works or most known works, and that kind of irks me a little bit, because I think when you have an anthology like this, you ought to include the author's best stuff. And that just kind of irks me a little bit. So anyway, Chicago is a very famous poem, and I would encourage you to look that up and read it also. Okay, They Have Yarns. As I said, there are a lot of stanzas to this poem, or verses, but they're not really verses, just parts. And I would like to know how many you can identify as to a legend or a tall tale. Okay? So, those of you with the book, if you would also answer questions 1, 2, and 3 on page 17, that would be very nice, and turn them in to me at Mrs. K. bf1@gmail.com. Okay, that's about for this class. And then there are some other things that we want to do also, that just make sure you go back and you review. Use your quiz book the way you're supposed to use your history quiz book. Remember, put a check on each item when you can reply to who Carl Sanberg was, or what does this particular word mean. When you know that, put a check there. When you know it the second time, put a check, and so forth. If at any time you don't know it with the checks, remember, you go back and start over with check 1, 2, 3. When you have gotten 5 checks in succession, then you can do it weekly. You put a W down and you do it for 4 weeks. If you make it through the 4 weeks and you have remembered the term or the author or whatever it is that we'd like you to know, then you can put an M on it. And remember, all this is in pencil. You can put an M on it and then review it monthly. So I believe that's it for lesson 3-2 in American literature.